Our neighborhood had always been the epitome of suburban tranquility. The houses were neatly lined, the lawns meticulously manicured, and the residents greeted each other with friendly smiles. However, as I would soon discover, appearances can be deceiving, and the enigma that lived next door would shatter the illusion of our peaceful community. It all began when a new neighbor moved into the house adjacent to ours. The Smiths, as they were introduced to us, were an enigmatic couple. They kept to themselves, rarely venturing outside except for late-night walks around the neighborhood. The Smiths had an aura of mystery about them, and their presence was a source of curiosity among the residents. My wife Emily and I, along with our 2 young children, lived in the house to the right of the Smiths. Our initial interactions with them were limited to polite nods and occasional small talk. They seemed pleasant enough, albeit reserved. But as time passed, strange occurrences began to unfold, casting a shadow over our once idyllic neighborhood. One evening, as I was tucking our children into bed, Emily rushed into the room with a look of alarm on her face. She spoke in hushed tones, her voice trembling as she told me what she had witnessed through the window. Emily had been in our bedroom, which had a clear view of the Smiths' backyard. She had noticed a peculiar glow emanating from their garden shed. As she watched, the glow intensified, casting an eerie, greenish light that danced on the walls of our bedroom. Concerned for our neighbor's safety, I ventured outside to investigate. The shed's door was slightly ajar and the strange light spilled out from within. My heart pounded as I pushed the door open, revealing a sight that defied explanation. Inside the shed, I found an array of bizarre and unsettling objects, intricate symbols etched into the floor, candles arranged in a cryptic pattern, and strange incantations scrawled on the walls. It was as if the Smiths were engaged in some sort of occult ritual. But what chilled me to the bone was the presence of a life-sized porcelain doll standing in the center of the room. Its glassy eyes seemed to follow me, and a sense of malevolence hung in the air. I had seen enough horror movies to know that this was no ordinary doll. It was a vessel for something sinister. Terrified and unsure of what to do, I hastily retreated from the shed and returned to our home. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had stumbled upon something deeply unsettling, something that should have remained hidden. Over the next few weeks, our unease deepened as the Smiths' behavior grew increasingly erratic. Their late-night walks became a daily occurrence, and they always seemed to be heading in the direction of the nearby woods. Emily and I couldn't help but wonder what they were doing out there, shrouded in darkness. One night, unable to contain our curiosity any longer, we decided to follow them. We kept a safe distance, concealing ourselves behind the trees as we watched the Smiths enter the woods. They moved with purpose, their faces illuminated by the pale glow of a lantern. As we trailed them deeper into the woods, we stumbled upon a clearing that sent shivers down our spines. In the center of the clearing stood a circle of stones, each one adorned with strange symbols. At the center of the circle was a wooden altar, upon which rested a tattered, leather-bound book. The Smiths began to chant in an unfamiliar language, their voices rising in an eerie, hypnotic cadence. The air grew thick with tension, and the very ground beneath us seemed to tremble with an otherworldly energy. Suddenly, the ground before the altar split open, revealing a gaping chasm that seemed to lead into the depths of the earth. Emily and I watched in horror as the Smiths descended into the chasm, their lantern's light flickering and disappearing into the darkness. Terrified and unsure of what we had just witnessed, we retreated from the woods and returned to our home. It was clear that the Smiths were involved in something far more sinister than we could have ever imagined, something that defied rational explanation. As the weeks turned into months, the atmosphere in our neighborhood grew increasingly oppressive. The Smiths' presence seemed to cast a malevolent shadow over our once happy community. Our children, once full of laughter and joy, began to have nightmares, waking in the middle of the night with screams of terror. Desperate to protect our family, Emily and I decided to investigate further. We sought the help of a local historian, Mr. Thornton, who had an extensive knowledge of the area's history. What he revealed was a chilling revelation that sent shivers down our spines. According to Mr. Thornton, our neighborhood had once been the site of a secretive cult that practiced dark rituals in the nearby woods. The cult had vanished without a trace, but its malevolent presence had never truly left the area. He explained that the symbols we had seen in the shed were ancient sigils associated with dark magic, and the chasm in the woods was believed to be a portal to another realm, a realm inhabited by malevolent entities. Emily and I knew that we had to confront the Smiths and put an end to whatever dark forces they had unleashed. Armed with this newfound knowledge, we approached their house one evening, determined to confront them about their actions. We knocked on their door, our hearts pounding, but there was no answer. The house was eerily silent, and a sense of foreboding washed over us. We pushed open the door and stepped inside, calling out to the Smiths. The house was in disarray, as if a violent struggle had taken place. Furniture was overturned, and strange symbols were painted on the walls in what appeared to be blood. As we ventured further inside, we stumbled upon a room that sent a chill down our spines. The walls were lined with rows of porcelain dolls, each one more unsettling than the last. But the most horrifying sight awaited us in the basement. There, in the dimly lit room, we found the Smiths, or what remained of them. Their lifeless bodies were arranged in a grotesque tableau, their limbs contorted at unnatural angles. The air was thick with the stench of decay, and a sinister presence seemed to linger in the room. It was as if the malevolent forces they had unleashed had turned on them, exacting a brutal revenge. Terrified and shaken to our core, Emily and I fled the house and called the authorities. The investigation that followed unearthed a horrifying truth. The Smiths had indeed been involved in dark occult practices, and their actions had awakened a malevolent entity that had consumed them. As the news spread throughout our community, a sense of relief washed over us. The malevolent presence that had plagued our neighborhood had been vanquished, but the scars it had left behind would forever remain. Our once peaceful neighborhood would never be the same. The enigma that had lived next door had shattered the illusion of suburban tranquility, reminding us that darkness can lurk even in the most unassuming of places. Emily and I moved away from the neighborhood, seeking a fresh start, but the haunting memories of our disturbing neighbor would forever haunt our dreams.